All right. So, what are these towers here?
So those are the Petronas Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Oh, wow.
And they were the tallest building in the world for like 6 years, I think. They were built in, I think, 1993. And then they were the tallest buildings in the world until the Taipei 101 was built in Taiwan.
Wow, that's cool. Very handsome photo. I like that. But yeah, that's really cool. So, have you been to Malaysia before?
Yes, I have. It was actually for the World Youth Championships in 2019 when I was 11 years old. I was in the under 12 division then.
Oh, wow, that's super cool. I didn't know you actually went to. So this is your second time, but in a different, playing in a different division.
Yeah, it's like full circle. They have WYGC in a different country essentially every year. So it's quite a coincidence that I was able to go to Malaysia both times.
Wow, that's stoked. But I bet like you wanted to go to a different place. Oh, right.
Yeah.
So I guess you get a really nice photo gallery that Alex sent me on the. So this is like sort of going there. Oh, by the way, when you did you have to qualify when you knew about the tournament at all?
Yes, there was an American qualifier. So there was four players in single elimination, and I was able to win that qualifier.
Oh, I see. I see. It looks really nice street food.
Yeah.
Hot pot.
There's a big Chinese culture in Malaysia.
Oh, so do people speak Chinese on the street? Is that common?
Yes, I think like around 15 or 20% of the Malaysian population is like, ethnically Chinese, and they have this all these Chinese schools there. So you'll see a lot of people speaking Chinese and a lot of Chinese street food and restaurants.
That's cool. So would you say like more than English?
No, I
No.
think like 80% of Malaysians can speak English or
Oh, okay.
something.
So mostly English still. Now I noticed that there's a lot of fried chickens in your photos.
Yeah. Um, this photo is actually
Explain
from
yourself.
this photo is from a Malaysian KFC, and I think that the KFCs in Asia are the best KFCs in the world. Like American KFCs are like 10 times worse than these ones.
that is that is illegal. But okay, I respect that. You're allowed to have your favorite food and you're allowed to enjoy it. But okay, that's cool. All right, cool. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff. But the reason why we're making this video is I wanted to get your own thoughts a little bit about your whole trip. Because this was obviously a huge feat for North American Go. We've never had anyone win the whole tournament before, um, and maybe even make it to the semifinals or finals, right? So, really, really cool stuff. Very, very proud. Um, so, tell us a little bit about uh, your tournaments. Like maybe like how did you feel when you just got there?
So obviously, I was very tired because I had a 19-hour flight to Singapore, which is the longest running commercial flight in the world, and then another flight to Malaysia. So it was like 24 hours of travel and then jet lag. So I was feeling very tired before my first game. And my first game was actually against a Taiwanese pro.
Hmm.
Very difficult.
Oh wow. So basically when you just got after right after you got there, like the next day you had to play, right?
Right.
And that's actually a pretty common thing for like North American players when we go to Asia to compete because um, it's difficult to go there for an extended period of time, right? And then the jet lag aspect is actually a huge influence in terms of like performance because like usually the tournament starts during the day, but then that's like when you're the most tired if you're living U.S. hours. Um, but when for this tournament, is it what's the structure like? Is there a round robin or how does it start?
There's a 5 round preliminary, and the top four from the preliminaries make it into the semifinals. And in the semifinals, it's single elimination until you decide the champion.
Gotcha. So how many people were there?
So there's two divisions, the under 12 division and under 18 division, and there was 14 players in each division.
Cool. How did you do?
I won first place in the senior division.
No, I mean in the group rounds. Did you
Oh,
also win that one?
no, I didn't win the group rounds actually. It was at a fairly lucky group rounds because I lost to Taiwan and I lost to China. So then I was 3-2, and I actually barely made it into the semifinals by tiebreakers.
Wow, that's so cool. So you were like fourth place then in the groups.
Yes.
Wow, that's so cool. So actually, when you went into the finals, I bet no one expected you to do well, right? Since you were the last seed, but that's really cool. So then, I guess the photo that we see now is the semifinals.
And this is the
Oh,
finals
this is
again.
the finals. So the semifinals was this one.
Right. This
Wow.
is,
Okay. Very cool. So going into this round, what were you thinking?
well, it was just the previous day when I had lost to the Chinese player Lisa Han.
Oh.
So I was feeling really nervous because this is obviously a very, very important game, and the psychological pressure of simply having not performed very well the previous day.
Yeah, I bet, right? Especially if you have to play the same player again when you've lost to them once, right? What was the game like when you played him before this semifinal round?
The game, I had a very successful opening, but then the middle game became very, very complicated, and I misread something, and he managed to capitalize on my mistake.
Hmm. So I think that's very typical style now for many um, strong pros is they like to be play very steady, but they're always on the lookout and they're very good at catching that first mistake. So I bet you were on the you were kind of knowing that he's gonna be very tough when you played. Okay, so let's get to the game. I think I'm in. Oh, this is the review. Okay, so I am in your review. Um, so I uh, saw that the your semifinal opponent he's actually in the Chinese national team, so he's quite a strong player. Um, so I'm very curious about some key moments of this game.
All right. So the opening was very successful for White. We just played a few Josekis, and here on the bottom side, I decided to play the large knight's approach move. And this is basically asking black between taking the corner and letting white make the two space extension, which reduces a lot of black's power in the lower left, or pincering from this side, which would give me a fairly easy access to the corner. And in the game, he chose to pincer from the lower left side, which allowed me to attach and make him slightly over concentrated in the area. And after sliding in with the large knight's move and taking this bump, It was actually really hard for black to attack this white group. So then from this point forward, white was able to get an advantage in the opening. So I was able to get this move in Sente, which was very nice, and then approach on the top side. So the
Very creative
opening was
move there. Yeah.
um,
Sorry, go ahead.
okay. So the opening was very successful for white, and after a few exchanges on the top side, I made this group in the center. He made a very thick group on the top side, and now the game is sort of in a calm moment, and both players are t trying to make territory. Maybe black has a target of separating these two groups and attacking them in the center. But in this position, I made the first big mistake of the game, which was this move. And before this move, I'm ahead around 8 points.
Well,
I had a fairly substantial lead,
hmm.
but this move was quite a careless move because it allowed black to play a Hane and connection. And at the time, I thought because white was so thick in the area, white didn't really have to respond, and white could take Sente, which happened in the game. But a after black made this pushing move, I realized that I had to come back and defend. And this is because if I continue taking endgame or strengthening myself in the center, then when he clamps, then this cut is always going to be something that white has to worry about. And here he can try to cut off my group on the top side. So I was actually a lot weaker in this position than I thought I was. And I ended up having to come back to play this Tiger's Mouth. And instead, I could have gotten this extension down in Sente. So here black would have had to respond. And then when I come and play this large knight's move, this is going to be a lot better for white. I think it's around 3 points. So this was my first mistake of the game, and he punished that very accurately. And now the game is around 5 points, so it's getting closer and closer.
It sounded like a lot bigger of a mistake when you said it, but then it actually ended up being 3 points. So it's actually didn't sound that bad.
And here we are having this battle in the center where I just played this move in order to prevent a wedge like this. If black pushes and then plays this wedge, then white could have some trouble connecting his two groups. So here I played this move to attack him on the top side and defend against this wedge. And here, instead of defending with this move, like I thought he would, he played the counter attack. And here I decided to push once first and then block here, which induces a very or a fairly complicated fight in the center where black plays the Sente move and then pushes and cuts. And here this is a a mistake by white. White should just connect. And here white would maintain his lead of around 5 points. But this fighting is actually good for black because black can live in Sente after this attach. And he can capture this one stone. White has to come back in the center. And now white's liberties are short and white has these weak groups in the center that black can try to attack. But here, black played this pushing move, which was a big mistake. What black should have done is black should have played this push first, and then he should have came out. And this would have prevented White from making two eyes with his group, and now White has to find a way to connect himself without damaging too much of White's left side territory. But after this move, I was able to live like this in the center, and
Hmm.
from this point onwards, I was ahead by about 2.5 points till the very end of the game.
I'm actually really impressed by how precise you guys are with these things. Like, before you point these out, it's not obvious to me how these would really like induce such a difference. I mean, yes, when you point this one out, it does make sense. Um, White can live pretty easily here, but it felt like it wasn't that much. Like you know what I mean? Like you say like, oh, it was a big mistake, but it was a 3 point deficit, and then here, you lost the lead, but it actually didn't. Like it didn't feel like something great. So my point being that the quality of these games are actually really really high here. Like there were two mistakes by White, and then Black makes one mistake, and that seems like to be it. So I'm just really impressed by how you guys are playing, like the quality of the games that you're playing, the level is so high here.
Thank you. Um, my opponent was a very, very strong player, so
Yeah, well, you did super well here.
thank you.
Yeah. Cool. So very, very tough win against an opponent that you just lost the last round to.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but what's the time setting here? Were you in Byoyomi when you made any of these mistakes?
No, so this was ing timing where you um you have 1 hour of basic time, and after you use that entire hour, you can essentially buy 10 more minutes for 2 points. And
Oh,
you
and how
can
many?
only buy
Three
you could
times
buy
you can buy. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So did either of you use any of the time buying?
so I actually used one time buying. By the time he resigned this game, I was ahead by 2.5 points, and he had around 10 seconds left. So I think both players would have had a penalty if the game had ended and we had finished.
Wow, that's like very down to the wire.
Right.
So if he didn't lose any time, well, you said he would inevitably have to buy time, but if he didn't, you would be only up by half, I guess, in that situation. Okay, so so after that tough win in the finals, it was against the Korean representative.
Yes.
Yeah,
So the,
tell us a little bit about him.
so the Korean representative is in Insei in Korea, and he's from the first group. So the strongest group of Korean Insei. So he's very, very close to professional level. And in the semifinals, he just beaten the Taiwanese professional in a fairly convincing game. So my opponent is definitely very, very strong.
All right, well, let's see what happened. So
Yeah.
before you went to this game, how are you feeling?
I was really happy that I was able to beat the Chinese player. And because no um, non-East Asian player had ever made it to the finals of this tournament or the senior division finals of this tournament, I was actually very relieved to have broken this record. So I was feeling a lot more relaxed than I was in the previous game. A very good mentality to start off with.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I mean, if you're nervous, probably you're not gonna play as well. Not gonna be yourself.
right. And this opening was had a fairly strange position because he played this
Um,
very large knight's move, super large knight's move, and then he played the sliding move into the corner, which I have not seen for a few years in my games. So he's playing this very traditional opening, and that was just a unique part of this game. So I start off by attacking him, and here's the first crucial moment where black attaches on top. And here, when white extends, black has to connect. There's no way that black is going to let white break through and separate his two groups here. So black must connect, and white can bump and then block here to secure the entire lower right corner. So now this game, after black jumps here, becomes a game where white has a huge amount of territory, and black has this big moyo that white is going to have to jump in and reduce. So I play this move on the fifth line, and now black has to get a very, very severe attack on this white group to get a good result.
you must have been a happy camper getting this,
I
right?
was I was quite happy to get this massive corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I attached to make some eyes. And here black played the push and cut, which I think was the plan with this move was that he can push and cut here. And now if white captures in the corner, then this one stone gets captured in a ladder because of these two stones. So this was black's plan, and I connected, but after white plays this move, white can play this tiger's mouth, and because all these sente move or all these extensions are sente, I can actually jump. And now there's no way for black to cut me because I can play here. So this push and cut was a bad plan by black.
Yeah, this seems like a tactical mistake because Black has all this influence in the center, and Black is on the attack. But before Black even gets anything from the attack, Black has already moved away to gain something in the upper left. So the efficiency of all the rest of the stones seem to be kind of forgotten by Black. So definitely seems like a big tactical mistake.
Right. So this corner, if black captures, isn't going to be as big as mine. And if most of his outside influence has been reduced, then this is definitely going to be a good result for white. And this is basically what happened in the game, where I was able to use all these sentes in the corner to turn and connect myself with these groups. Here, if black can't really, um, black can separate white here, but this wouldn't be a good idea for black because white gets all these sente moves and white is super strong in the area. And both groups are going to be able to settle very easily here. And in the game, this move was actually a fairly big mistake. I think I should have played here. And this is going to be a forcing move. At the time, I thought that black could connect here, and then I would have to play a move to connect myself. But now there's actually a nice Tesuji, which is the wedge. And here, if black Atari is on top, then really there's no way for black to cut this because white is going to turn the next move. And once white pushes through, white has gained enough on the left side that he doesn't have to worry about this entire group being attacked. So here I should have played the connection because um, essentially I'm going to have to connect anyways. And once the connection is put on the board, then this is clearly an empty triangle. So here I should have just connected.
Yep. At that moment, though, I think it's always hard to be very precise when you know you're ahead and you're doing well.
Right. So at the time, I was very happy to be able to push and then connect both of my groups.
Mm.
And then he made an invasion exchange. And then he tried to attack my entire group, and I had to connect, make this empty triangle shape. But at this point, white is already fairly ahead in the game. Here it's actually white that's the one that's attacking black,
Mm.
not the other way around.
Exactly.
And now I connect my groups very solidly. And because of black's mistake in the upper left corner, white is ahead by quite a lot in this game. And we were playing the end game. I decided to just play this wedge and live very solidly with my group in the center. Here, if black tries to connect, then I can just push through and cut off this entire black group. So this isn't going to work. And at this point, I knew I was ahead by a good number of points. So I was playing the end game, but then he played this move, which is quite an awesome local to Suji here. And the idea of this move is that if I respond with the connection, then here black can play the honey. And now if I block, then he's threatening to play this Atari. So we'll play something like this, black and Atari, and then cut off these two stones to live. And I'm going to have to prevent that somehow. But now he can wedge. And if if I capture this one stone to save my four stones, then my four stones on the bottom are going to get cut off. So this is actually a big problem for white. And well, another move that's easily thought about here is the Atari. But here, now black's Atari at 2 Ascente, and black can play the Hane. And then now if white blocks, then this cut. Or black, sorry,
Oh, I think black in P4 and then
P4.
cut. P4, white connect and
Oh,
then
yes.
cut.
And then cut here. Yeah. So now if white captures the stone, then black can Atari, and then play this move at 12. And now this is going to create a ko for the corner. So here this was an awesome Tsuji by black to create some complication in the lower left. But thankfully I had this move, and although black can peep now and then play this move to save the entire lower right corner, I can play out the endgame here, and then I can wedge and capture the center. So my corner in the lower right, the territory I had there has just been transferred to the center, and this is a relatively even exchange. And after that, black was losing by around 20 points. So after a few more moves, he resigned, and I was able to win the finals.
Wow. Wow. That must be such a heart like nerve-wracking moment when you see that move. The opponent plays that awesome move and you realize, oh shit, it works, right? And
Yes.
then probably a lot of regret, but then you you have to keep your composure and still find that local best move and I feel like usually when you're all in the moment, luck is on your side, right? And you always need a little bit of that luck. Even though Go is a deterministic game, but sometimes you just don't see something, but then that variation just works out for you. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that there was that move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so cool. I think this game is much more determined. It seems you were able to get a pretty. It was relatively smooth. You get an early lead. It was a
Hmm.
big lead as well, right? It's just that one uncertain moment at the very very end there. Um, but yeah, anything else that you like to share to the audience?
Um, I'd like to thank um the American Go community for um nurturing me and helping me improve to this level of game. And I hope that we can have more young players in the future be able to challenge these perennial powerhouses of East Asia.
Now, when I'm curious, so yeah, I'm really glad that you said that, and I think what you did and you as a player is very inspiring for many young players out there. Um, so, would you like to share some of the things that you felt were really important during your training process?
I think one thing that really helped me was I really loved doing life and death from a young age. I remember going to Feng Ying's Go School. She was my teacher um, for a very large number of years. And she gave me this life and death book as a very beginner. And I remember the day after I got it, I would just sit there and I think I did a few hundred problems in that book in just one day. And having that passion and doing those problems really helped me with my reading. And that helped me improve to the professional level.
Yeah. Would you say that reading is the most key aspect?
Yes, I think in Go reading is the most important thing because if you don't know what's going to happen in the future, then y- all these other skills like judgment are not going to have much usefulness if there's no position to judge, basically.
Yeah. What about when you got stronger? What else was important in that aspect of training? So let's say you got to high down level.
Mm. So what I found really helpful was playing a lot of players that were stronger than me. I know I was playing you quite often. I was playing Filippo, and Filippo actually introduced me to the AI and these AI openings and the thought processes of how the AI played. And both of those things, playing strong players and learning with the AI, helped me become a high depth.
Now, when you talk about learning with AI, what kind of thinking should you have when you're reviewing with AI? I mean, I think nowadays it's a very common training practice to use AI for improvement. Just
Mhm.
wondering if you can share some tips in terms of what to do when you can review with AI. What are some things to look for? What are some things to watch out for?
Few things to watch out for is just putting your game into the AI and then letting AI make all the judgment and things for you. Like you just scroll through your bad moves and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have played that move. And if you do that, you don't really understand why that move is bad or why the AI plays the way it does. And if you do that, next time you're just going to um, make the same mistakes again, and then you won't be able to improve. But in terms of usefulness, the AI can be very useful for judgment because sometimes um, humans really don't know how to judge if an outcome is favorable for black or white. And in that case, you can use the AI to just tell you because the AI knows the answer. And then you can, after seeing the answer, then you can go contemplate about why the AI thinks th this way. And there you can really improve your judgment that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said about kind of just going through the moves. It's actually one of the biggest tips that I give to Go players is to recommend them not excessively use AI and just plug them in, see the bad moves, because the answer is not as useful if you don't think about it. And also, like you said, after you see that move, you actually have to try to reason for that move yourself. And I think that's generally the hard part, because it's easy to see the answer, right? But then trying to think about how that answer came to be, you actually have that takes a lot of innovation in itself.
Right. You have
Yeah,
to manipulate, the move order or how, or try to simplify your judgment, and those are very abstract and difficult things to do.
yeah, agreed. Yeah, but great tips. Yeah, so thanks you so much, Alex, for being a motivation, and congratulations again for becoming the youth world champion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching, and hope you enjoyed. And let's give Alex a round of applause in the comments.